There are many reasons why at times there are more players playing Diablo 2 compared to Diablo 3. In this video, I will be going over all of the reasons why along with community feedback on this topic. Just to start off, this isn't going to be a video to bash Diablo 3. It is just to show why players like myself enjoy Diablo 2 much more. If Diablo 4 is to be released in the future, this can be an example of things Blizzard can improve on. The skill tree changes. The biggest problem with Diablo 3 is that the game was so different compared to Diablo 2 that it almost felt like a completely different game. The skills were less exciting with a much easier and simple gameplay style. Taking away runes and rune words and then adding them into the skill tree didn't make any sense, at least from a classic player's perspective. It offers the player to use skills in different ways, which is perfect for what Diablo players thrive for in a build. But this feature just wasn't executed properly to give you a variety of gameplay styles. For example, the typical Whirlwind build consisted of casting a few buffs and holding down right click to use Whirlwind in Diablo 3. This takes away from any thought or strategy to take on your enemies. Where in Diablo 2, a Whirlwind Barbarian has much more complex and challenging ways to play this build. The skills in Diablo 2 don't just apply to one specific build. It gives your character a universal way to play. For example, when you play a Barbarian in Diablo 2, you are focusing on a variety of skills instead of just your main. Some examples are using Leap, Taunt, Battle Cry, and War Cry, along with some other useful skills such as Item Find. These are just a few of the skills you can use to improve your adventures. This provides other alternatives to make your character more effective and enjoyable to play. Every class in some way gives you an alternative way to play the game in Diablo 2. The Diablo 3 skill system changed too much to make it enjoyable for classic players. The unique abilities that made Diablo special, such as battle shouts and paladin auras, make players miss what Diablo 2 was like. No attributes. Similar to the skill system, removing attributes from the game didn't make any sense. Removing this feature was just one of the many ways it made the game feel too easy. Having attributes gave you the option to spec your character the way you wanted to play. For example, if you wanted more melee damage, you could put points into strength. If you wanted more attack rating, defense, or shield block, you would put more points into dexterity. There isn't too much to say on this topic besides it just doesn't make any sense. It removed more of the strategy and thought process to create a character in a unique way. It seems this was removed to make the game more appealing to new players. No rune words. Rune words were the soul of Diablo 2 endgame. It expanded the replay value and opened a wide variety of builds with character customization. High-end rune words were extremely hard to obtain, but it gave you something to look forward to. We have all grown to love rune words for many years now, and to completely remove them and then add runes to the skills didn't make classic players very happy. Legendary items dropped too much. This is probably the main feature in Diablo 3 that made playing the game less rewarding. Completing rifts within minutes and then the boss dropping a ton of legendary items doesn't make legendary items feel legendary. Drops were far more balanced than vanilla Diablo 3, where it actually required a decent amount of magic find to obtain legendary items. Unique item drops in Diablo 2 felt extremely rewarding. The grind can be a bit harsh at times, especially when you're farming for high runes. But it really made you feel as if all of your hard work finally paid off and you were truly rewarded with something special. The graphics. Many players have criticized Diablo 3's atmosphere for having Warcraft-style graphics. This was compared to the cartoon-style games from Blizzard such as World of Warcraft. There are some areas that give off a very dark and gritty landscape. It's just Diablo 2 had more of a medieval feel to the game, where Diablo 3 leaned more towards a dark fantasy style that felt less appealing to players. The storyline. Basically, all of the storyline and characters from Diablo 2 were scrapped when Diablo 3 came out. In a way, the story made sense if you Google and read through dozens of pages on what actually happened to the Diablo 2 lore. But visually, from a playthrough perspective of the game, it didn't make any sense. The story also forced nostalgia that was just presented poorly, such as returning the Skeleton King and the Butcher, also making Act 1 and 2 exactly like Diablo 2. Whimsyshire tried to replicate what the secret cow level was for the humor of the game, but rainbows and cute unicorns were the last thing players wanted to see from a dark and medieval game such as Diablo. The biggest upset of all was not Deckard Cain being killed off, but how he died. His death had no real meaning or sacrifice to the story. After he was killed by a purple butterfly, this set classic players in a rage. This is just the basics of what went wrong with the Diablo 3 story. Focusing too much on Leah and T-Rail being mortal could be talked about on a whole series. No PvP. Dueling in Diablo 2 was a major aspect of online play. Dueling outside the rogue encampment and fighting off the occasional PKer was a time to remember. Diablo 3 was planned to have a matchmaking system for arena PvP, but this was scrapped, just like it was with the Diablo 2 arenas that are in the game files. You can brawl in Diablo 3, but this is a very dumbed down version of dueling and a lazy development choice by Blizzard with only one map. No matchmaking system, no world PvP, and only one map to duel on. You would expect more, especially when World of Warcraft has a massive PvP system. But Blizzard just didn't put in the effort to implement this into Diablo 3. No single player or offline play. Many players enjoy the online BattleNet experience, while others enjoy the more rewarding experience of progressing in the game on their own. This also did not allow fan-made modding for Diablo 3, which might have saved the game altogether. Diablo 2 is known for its critically acclaimed mods such as Median XL. Supporting mods allows players and the fanbase to expand the experience and the possibilities of games. Some of the biggest progressions and ideas come from the fans who have a massive passion and dedication to game modding. In most cases, this is set aside by gaming companies, which may have something to do with legal issues. Torchlight, which was created by former Diablo 2 devs, supported extensive modding by players. Runic Games released the game editing tools used to create the game for free download, allowing dedicated modders to create new content for the game. As far as the community goes, here are some of the most liked comments about this topic. Zaire said Diablo 3 looks like Warcraft. Fuberduber said Diablo 2 is one of the only games to actually get loot right. It's rewarding enough without having to be diluted by outside sources such as the auction house. Especially if you only play single player, getting that piece of gear you've been searching for or that high rune to finally drop feels so accomplishing. Johnny Snip Show said the art style in Diablo 2 is more gritty and darker, adds to the overall atmosphere of dread. He also said the item art is much better as well. There's why Diablo 2 players don't like Diablo 3. When you subscribe, make sure you hit the bell button to get notifications when I upload new videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you on my next video.
See a change in my companion. He seemed to be gaining strength. I could hardly see in the gloom, but my companion seemed to know the way.